Welcome to the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks. We're Jim and Joe, lifelong friends, lifelong fans, bringing you fan-driven sports talk the way real fans do. No overpaid experts, no scripted analysis, just honest takes on the games, players, and the big stories shaping sports right now.
That's right, Joe. And we want you all to be a part of it too. Drop your comments, questions, takes. We love them. We got some more we can mention today. We read them all. We bring them into future shows. Please hit like, subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and wherever you listen. And happy
Yep.
Friday. We made it to another Friday, Joe.
Hey, it's a glorious Friday. So much going on in the sports world.
Yep.
Out of the sports world, I got a truck issue, but hey, in the scheme of things, rich person problems, so I'm all good. And that's not going to dampen my spirits when I'm looking at the gold medals just being thrown to the U.S. It's amazing.
Yep. And you were sounding like a country music song. You said your truck broke down?
My truck broke down. Yeah, it overheated out of the blue. I got a beautiful 2019 Dodge, Ram. And yeah, I love it. It's great. Been treating me good. But anyway, hey, things happen. No big deal at all, man. It got a little hot, just like the women's hockey team did at the
Woohoo!
right time. Unbelievable.
Congratulations. And what an in and out move. I can't stop watching it by Megan Keller right
Yeah,
before she knocked that thing through in overtime. And they tied the game with only 2 minutes to go.
yeah.
That
I
was
mean,
amazing comeback. Congrats.
it was. It's like the highlight. If you haven't seen it yet out there, you got to go look. It was, it was not looking good. And
Mm-mm.
then two just killer goals. And yeah, that last one by Keller was unbelievable. I mean, as good of a hockey move. Sometimes I get in this habit, or I do this sometimes, and I think it's obviously wrong. But just over the years of watching sports, you're like, well, women's sports, men's sports. It's like, wow, that goal was pretty good. For a woman's team or for a
Oh,
girl. Not in this case. I mean,
no.
you blur your eyes if you need to, but this was one of the greatest, single-handed goals in hockey, especially considering the circumstances. It was amazing.
Nail biter to the end. And it
Yep.
was amazing.
Yeah. I loved it.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, it was great. And congratulations. So what's the story? You're keeping up with this scheduling bit better than I am. What's going on?
The scheduling bit is right now
For the
Canada.
hockey.
Yeah, for hockey, the United States plays later on today in the semifinal, and Canada and Finland are all knotted up as of right now, real time, 2-2. Down in the final minutes, Canada had a power play, and I'm not going to say anything else. No spoiler alert right now until if I notice that it's over, we'll mention it.
Yeah. Okay, well, you can always say, kind of like earmuffs, hey, if you're recording it or you don't want to watch it right now, cover your ears if we, are going to throw out any numbers because I've already mentioned this. I think I record more than I watch live. There's a few things. I mean, I'm always going to watch live, but life happens. So I record a lot, and to get through a few hours of shopping or going out or eating or walking around my wife, in the mall, trying not to see a score because I'm looking forward to getting home and watching it, in 5 hours. That's brutal. That's hard. That's not easy to do, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe. I just asked our research staff to check, and they just came through. Put on your ear muffs, everybody, if you don't want to hear this. But with 35 seconds to go, Canada just came back completely from a 2-0 deficit. There's still 35 seconds to go, and scored another goal. Canada 3-2 over Finland. So it looks like we are going to see Canada make it to the final. Wow.
Um, pretty crazy when you think about the men's and the women's. I mean, men have work to do to make it happen. Obviously, they'll be
Yeah.
favored, I believe.
Yep.
But either way, the Canadian versus American hockey matchups could happen. Great.
Absolutely love it. And it's everything to those in Canada. Hockey
Yep.
is everything. It's like us with football and baseball. It's everything, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to only argue a little bit. If you break America up into different kind of factions, not in a non-united way, I'm talking about in the popularity of sports.
Yeah.
You could have arguments for college basketball. You could have arguments for the NFL. You could have arguments for college football. You could have arguments for NASCAR. You could have arguments for baseball, uh, NBA. I mean, literally, you have
Yeah.
6, 7, 8 sports that, depending on, like I said, what region or what your, how you grew up, you could argue that that's our favorite sport. But you're right. When it comes to Canada, it's pretty much only one. And that
Yeah.
is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. On one hand, it seems limiting. On the other hand, it seems passionate if that's all you got. So, there you go.
Yep. And it's all about that gold medal. So congrats again to the women's USA hockey team. They did
Yep.
it.
Yeah. Well, while they're throwing out gold, um, you know, it's been 24 years since a female woman ice skater has brought home the gold. Um, and, couldn't have happened to a more, fun person to watch. Alysa Liu, she brought it home. Great story. If you haven't heard her story, look into it. It'll make winning the gold even that much sweeter. The picture that's posted, at least the one I've seen in a couple places, one in the Athletic, they've got a picture of her biting the gold medal. You can clearly see the way she does her hair in those different sections. Just the fun. I'm calling them devil's tears on her tails on her teeth. I don't know what they are, but they look kind of cool. And then she just looks like she's happy, and she should be. She was a world phenom at a very early age, 14, 15, 16, world champion,
Yeah.
and then retired. Retired because, and I can see this happening for a lot of kids. There was no childhood, there was no teen years. You're training nonstop, and she just really just got. I don't want to say sick of it from her. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but hey, she retired, walked away from it, spent a few years away from it, and then came back this year to get back into it. And wow, uh, unbelievable, really, when you think about it.
She stole the show too. She just
Yeah.
looked so calm, happy. And, it's like we were just talking about just before the show. If you're calm over your golf swing and you don't try to kill it, just make good contact, it's going to go, baby, go. That's how she looked last night. She looked like she didn't have a care in the world. And I
Yeah.
love the hair. She said, because it's like me wanting to be a tree. It
Mm.
shows, it shows the progressions of time as a figure skater. So it's a cute story, man.
Yeah, no,
Congrats.
that's actually a really good point about her hair. It's not like I want to be a tree. It's like the rings around the tree tell the story of. And you probably know more about it than I do, but I've heard the rings of the tree don't just tell you the years. Scientists can look at each ring and tell you if that year was a drought, if there was disease, if the tree was and that's exactly what she's saying. I want my hair to kind of indicate the different stages and challenges of my skating career. I think yeah, it's a great story, man. I really enjoyed watching her skate.
Me too. And it's, I guess, because the bangs at top are the bright gold color. How
Yeah,
typical. She wins
yeah,
the gold.
yeah, yeah. That you're right. That's really cool. Um, and then you know, unfortunately, again, earmuffs. If you don't want to know what happened today, but last night I was watching the U.S. women's curling team.
Yeah.
They're basically up by 3 heading into the 10th. It's very rare in curling if you're not watching for anyone to get, even 2 points is tough, but to get three, especially, when you really need three, that's exactly what Switzerland did to the U.S. They went into the final, what do they call those? Ends. They went into the final end up three, and Switzerland got a tray when they needed it. So it went into extras, and even the extra was tough. The U.S. had the hammer, which means last throw. and then or last whatever push, last stone, and then it came down to the U.S. blocked out all over the place. Switzerland sitting there with two of their stones in the 4 foot circle or touching it, and the U.S. had one last stone, and they had to curl it around the couple stones up top, and it had to just drift into the 4 foot circle and stay in the circle closer than the other two stones were from Switzerland. And guess what? I mean, you're pushing that thing from how far away is that? Like 20 yards? It's a
Yeah.
long way. And she let it go, and it curled in there right into the center of the target and stopped with about 2 inches to spare. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It's exciting. A lot of people absolutely adore curling. So it's,
Yeah, me
we'll see
too.
how the rest of that goes.
Yeah, I do too. I used to enjoy curling like my hair and stuff. Those days are kind of gone now. But so this is the only curling I can get. You know, can do. So
And I
actually, I didn't
do,
curl. I didn't curl my hair. Just for the record, I never did. Thank you.
and I do my hair too. It shows the sands of time, gray.
Uh,
So,
yes, right, right. Yes, exactly. Instead of layers, you just have one layer uh, that just says, old, not any kind of progression. I get it. Smart. I like it. It's kind of catching on.
glad I've made it
Uh,
this far. Thank you.
yes. So when are the closing ceremonies of the Olympics?
Sunday night, and I believe the men's hockey final is the last event.
Okay.
So, yep, we've only
Wow.
got a couple more days.
Wouldn't that be something, man? If it comes down to the last event is going to be U.S. versus Canada for the gold.
Let's tell the truth. Let's tell the truth. Everybody's hoping for that.
100%. Um, any hockey fan certainly is, of course, and here in the U.S. I mean, it's our only chance. So we got to get past the game today. So that's not a
Yep.
guarantee. Um, the medal count entering Friday. This is just total medals, not breaking it down by gold or anything like that. The U.S. is now in second place behind Norway. Norway 34, U.S. 27, third place Italy with 26. So hey, we're uh, we're doing good, man.
Yeah, the Norwegians are dominating, but that's to be expected
Yeah,
for
I
Winter
know.
Olympics.
Yeah, I think uh, I think they've been doing that for quite a while now.
Yep.
Well, I guess we can shift gears here for a minute. We're talking about baseball is underway. We've got college baseball that gets a little bit of a head start. And man, I'll tell you what, as a Miami Hurricane fan, I'm very optimistic this year about the team. But man, we've already had games that I mean, literally, they're like instant classics, as good of a game you can have in the last 50 years. We've gone into extra innings a couple of times. The one against Central Florida last night was unbelievable. Down three, 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, couple hit batters, some key hits, having to come back again, a walk off. I mean, unbelievable. Plus, Florida, the schools in Florida are representing themselves well, aren't they?
Oh, you better believe it. And I did see the highlights, and I strongly recommend you, everyone, besides your favorite team, check out the highlights of the University of Miami. They were at home hosting UCF, the Knights. Watch the highlights. It'll pull right up when you look it up. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Yes.
it it
Right
it was
now, Miami,
amazing.
I believe, is ranked 23rd, but I've seen a couple of their highlights from some of their games this year. They're not going to be end up being the 23rd ranked team in the country. They look really good.
Yep,
FSU is ranked 16th, and the Florida Gators are ranked 12th. But after watching that UCF Miami highlights, UCF might get up there in the rankings, even though they lost that game. They
wow.
kept taking the lead, and Miami kept coming back. So if you get a chance, yeah, that's must see. And FSU this weekend, they get to play in a real major league stadium in Arlington,
Wow.
not far from where you used to live. and there's a tournament there. I think there's a four-team tournament, and FSU, I believe, faces Michigan today. So
Oh,
at least it's not in basketball.
well, hey, speaking of basketball, I mean, you got Duke, Michigan, one of those weird, once conference play starts in college basketball, you very rarely have those kind of, real marquee matchups. And this weekend, you've got a treat if you like college basketball.
Oh
Number
yeah.
one against number three. That's a great, great matchup.
And help me out, Joe. Is that game tonight or is that game slated for tomorrow night? I don't
I,
remember.
I don't know. I thought it was Saturday.
It's
Um,
Saturday night.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure, yeah, because there's another really good matchup as well. I can't think of it off the top of my head because this one's kind of taking top billing. But yeah, there was
Yeah.
another one as well that was getting a lot of attention. So,
And we're still a month away from March Madness. Starts, I
oh
already
yeah, yeah,
saw the commercial today. It's March 18th, I believe. So we're still a month away. But when you get a matchup like Michigan and Duke, number one versus number three, I can't wait.
yeah,
I will be watching that game.
big time. And again, it's very rare to have a game like that. Once you get into conference, deep into conference play. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. We'll see. Um, but in the world of college sports, all three Florida teams you said are ranked. That's awesome. In the world of college sports, there's still some crazy things going on. I
Yeah.
came across an article that was talking about, just all the conference realignments over the years, which teams have really benefited from that. I'm talking football, of course.
Yeah.
Which teams have benefited, which teams, kind of, TCU going to the Big 12 and Missouri going to the SEC, and, how these really benefited some teams. It was more about that. However, someone, and I love to give credit to who it was, but I don't have it at my fingertips. I believe it was from On Three, but
Yeah.
they made a really incredible point that caught my attention. One of them was, um, you know, everyone's talking about teams needing to go to these mega conferences like the ACC. Florida State, Clemson have already threatened, if not still want to, or teams should be going to the Big Ten or the SEC, the big power conferences. But this writer put out an opposing argument that really makes you think a little bit.
Huh.
Um, the Ohio State Michigan game, for example, the Ohio State Indiana game, Ohio State Michigan game, that game, the revenue from that game was $200 million. 200 million for that game
Wow.
because they're Big Ten. Guess what? That game gets spread out. The revenue from that game gets spread out to all the teams in the Big Ten, as it should. Well, what if Ohio State and Michigan were independents? And what if teams like Notre Dame versus, Penn State or Ohio State versus Oregon? What if those games, two or three of those games a year were only, were to an independent? Um,
Huh.
there's an argument that belonging to a conference isn't always as financially beneficial as it might seem. So it was kind of an interesting take on it.
I've kind of wondered if that's what Florida State and Clemson were eventually going to do is just go independent. They'd be able to schedule Notre Dame every year, wouldn't they?
Miami was an independent for many years, as you know, and
Yes.
back in those days, our schedule had three or four top 25 type matchups, and of course, we had the ECUs and the others. Um,
Navy.
yeah, did we have to actually join a conference? Don't forget the real motivation for Miami to join a conference was the basketball program, which was
Right.
really put on hold for many years because of just lack of interest and money. So they joined the Big East mainly for basketball. And of course, the football kind of floundered in that, setup. So I don't know. When you really think about it, is just growing the Big Ten or growing the SEC the right move for every school? If you're a real power school, maybe you don't need to be in a conference at all with the money that's being thrown around right now. So I don't know. It's interesting.
And it wasn't that long ago when here we were growing up in the mid 70s in Miami. And I don't know if you remember this, early to early 70s, there was often talk that University of Miami was going to drop their football program. They were struggling so badly. It seemed like they came out
Yeah.
with different uniforms every year to try to keep the interest. And then everything changed pretty much once
Oh,
1979 hit
overnight.
when Jim
You're
Kelly
absolutely
came to
right.
town. Lou
Well,
Saban. Sorry.
well, no, it was Lou Saban, Jim Kelly. That started, a little bit of a run. O.J. Anderson. Um,
O.J. Anderson,
People
baby.
remember, '83, the national title with Schnellenberger. But yeah, it started a little bit before that. Once they got a real top notch, back in those days, top quarterback to come to Miami from Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Um, but I will say, yeah, people may not realize Miami's a private school. Back then, they were probably 10,000, 9,000 enrolled, undergrads, private school. Their board of regents, and I may have this wrong, so don't quote me on the numbers, but basically
Okay.
they put up the basketball and the football programs. Football had to travel to the Orange Bowl. There was no stadium, very little fan support, back then. So yeah, so they voted to di- get rid of, uh, I don't know what you want to call it, kill or postpone or whatever the basketball program,
Yep.
and the football program barely. I don't know if it was like 3-2 or 4-3, but barely survived that same fate.
Yep.
And like you say, that was like in the late '70s, and just a year or two later, the rest was history with getting the attention, the national attention, and of course, '83 came along. So yeah,
Yep.
um, Notre Dame is an independent. They've got a weak ACC agreement with football. They're
Yeah.
not an independent in basketball or other sports, but look at their independent. Who are they sharing their revenue, their football revenue with right now? Does the ACC get a small portion because of the five mandatory games? I don't know.
Crickets.
Yeah, right.
It's,
So they've got no money issues. What if Miami's not a good example? Miami's, you can argue they're not even back yet, but let's just say Ohio State. Of course, thinking that leaving the Big Ten, that's impossible.
yeah.
Well, thinking about the Pac-12 no longer being around is impossible. What if Ohio State just said, you know what, the hell with it, we don't need conference alignment. What do they need them for? To schedule games, to have 6, 7, 20-point favorite games on their schedule. Seriously, they could be keeping all the TV revenue, and with all the revenue that's going on right now, I mean, Mike, I will say this: the ACC's new schedule, and thanks to Florida State and Clemson for probably spearheading this change. But the ACC has a very unique contract with how the money is distributed to their teams. And they have completely redesigned their payouts based on TV revenue.
Right.
So, whatever teams generate the most viewership, if you will, and that's an easy thing to measure these days, that's who gets the most money. Well, Miami, Florida State by name, Clemson typically have a huge advantage going into the year because a lot of people watch Miami for the opposite reasons of I do. They can't stand them and they want to see them get beat. But either way, they draw a lot of viewership, and so Miami gets a bigger piece of the pie, or Florida State, when they're being watched, gets a bigger piece of the pie than an SMU or a Wake Forest, or fill in the blank. So you know, not saying it's an independent situation by any means, but at least you're getting rewarded for, your popularity, if you will, at least on TV, versus just spreading it out flat, like I guess the other conferences do.
Maybe someday they'll call it the NCFL, the National College Football League. Since
The
it's already
national,
kind of professional, the NCFL, they can put them all into certain divisions, keep in mind the conferences and all those great rivalries. You can't take Florida away from playing Tennessee and Georgia. Can't take Alabama
no,
away from playing LSU, and games like that. Or just make it sort of like a regional, have the East, have the North, have the Central, have the, North Central, just spread it out across the country, but everybody's getting put into a division based a little more on geography too. So I don't know.
well,
Everybody just gets put, but they're independent, all under one umbrella.
well, you could term that one huge conference, and that's been floated out there.
Yeah.
Instead of having, SEC, Big Ten, blah, 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 Big 12, just have one big conference and, kind of like the NFL. Maybe break it up into regions. That's been floated. And think about that. You've got like the South, division of the mega 40 team conference. And, the South Division, Florida State, Miami, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, all play each other. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
There'd be a lot of appetite for that. And I know traditionalists would be like, no, 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 we've got to keep the Penn State, Michigan, the Ohio State, Penn State rivalries going and all that. Hey, if you look at the Pac 12, I got news for you. If you want to, hang on to that old tradition, and I get why it's great, but, you're holding on to that with your kung fu grip. Well, the Pac 12 rivalries that were in place, they ain't around anymore. Oregon is in the Big Ten. Yeah, crazy, right? I mean, it's like it happens, and money is what is driving all this, not tradition. That's for sure, 100%.
Yeah, now we have Stanford, Cal, and SMU in the ACC, which I've still. Oh yeah, the Atlantic Coast Conference, and we have two teams from the Pacific Coast. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, they did change that officially. It's no longer the Atlantic Coast Conference. It's the All Coast Conference. So it's
yeah,
both, yeah, both coasts, yeah.
yeah,
So I would assume we could take a team from like the Gulf of America because that would be a coast.
yeah.
So as long as it's on the coasts, yeah.
Right.
No, yeah.
They're gonna
Yeah.
rename it. Yep.
Hey, well, listen, it's some good news. Well, okay, I'm like, this is good news. I don't know if this is good news, but I will say this: the lawsuit that's been going on between Jaden Rashada and former, Florida coaches got settled yesterday. You can
Oh,
look into that if you'd like, um, but without throwing all the details out there, what it shows is it looks like the current NIL system is starting to get a little keyword a little bit of clarity, a little bit of teeth in what what is a Wild West show and still is a Wild West show.
right.
But it looks like things, one little step, baby steps at a time. These things are getting a little bit cleaned up. And then staying in college football, what's not getting cleaned up is two more Georgia football players were arrested on driving related charges. Um, I'm not picking on Georgia. It's kind of like, well, you know, so what,
No,
Joe? What's the big deal? Well, I'm having to look down here because I just always want to make sure I get it right.
you're not
Um,
picking on them at all.
well, I'm not picking on them, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because that now makes 13 of known, keyword known, but 13 known instances of Georgia football players being arrested on driving charges since January 2023, which was the car crash that killed player Devin Wilcock and staffer Chandler LaCroix. So 13 driving, not tickets. We're not talking about tickets. We're talking arrests. That's like not just parking your car wrong. That's doing crazy stuff. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if they have like, an affiliation. One of their key boosters is an insurance agent or a bail bondsman or what. But that is insane when you really think about
They were excited. They watched the Daytona 500
it.
last weekend,
Uh,
and I think they live a little too close to the Atlanta Speedway.
that's probably it. As a matter of fact, right when you said that, I had to pull up something because I was like, we never even mentioned the Daytona 500, and maybe we should
Yeah.
because and we'll close with the 500 because
Yeah.
we've raced our way to this point in this podcast, and we needed to because I got to tell you, I watched the Daytona 500. I watch it for a lot of reasons. I'm not a NASCAR expert. I drive past Talladega all the time. The Atlanta Motor Speedway is really popular. I think that's this weekend. But I love the Daytona 500. You and I grew up in Miami, kind of watching it. I know we've been up there a few times.
Yep.
Uh, Back when you could just walk into the infield, pretty much.
Yep.
Um, what a finish, man! What a finish! If you haven't watched the last, couple laps, all you really need to watch is the last lap. Unbelievable, man. Uh, Reddick just comes across, just barely getting by, like mayhem all around him. It was amazing.
He's lucky he survived it, but I loved his reaction sitting in the car after he had won it. He couldn't stop going like this with his fist, like, yes. Just seeing that elation. Oh, man, that was great.
I agree. He came across. Um, he's won before. He's won. There's a difference between winning a race like Daytona and then winning like NASCAR titles, obviously. But he's 30 years old. He's been around for a while. Um, winning the Daytona 500 is a game changer for any driver and team. But I got to tell you, what really was crazy was, Elliott coming across the line. Chase Elliott spinning out as part of that mayhem, and then coming across, finishing fourth backwards,
Yep.
literally coming across the finish line backwards. I guess it doesn't matter, right? That's legal.
Yep. Oh, my gosh. I've watched the final lap probably 10 times,
Yeah,
and I
yeah, you
didn't
should.
notice that he finished the race backwards. That
Hundred
made me
percent.
laugh.
Yeah, they're all spinning out, and hey, there's a line, and there's your car. I guess whatever part of your car crosses the line, and if it's your rear bumper, so be it. But Logano, hey, listen, this is going to sound like I don't like NASCAR or don't like something about it, but it's not true. But part of me feels like in the Daytona 500, you could literally just not watch the 3.5 other hours and just turn it on with 5 laps to go, because that's when everything happens. I mean, whether you're 12th, 14th, third, first, doesn't matter. The last 5, 10 laps, man, everything changes, and they get three wide, they get crazy, they get pushes, they get, I mean, everything going on. You got teams trying to help each other, teams trying to stop each other. It's mayhem every single time. That racetrack always seems to deliver, and it did again.
Yep, and it is mayhem on the television ratings because the Daytona 500 outdid the Olympics in that time window on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they say that some people are saying that there's a lot of people that are NASCAR fans who don't like the fact that they've gone to more streaming. They would have had even more viewers, except for the people who are protesting the streaming services. But they had very good ratings. I think it was something like 8 or 9 million people were watching that.
yeah.
So,
Well, it's their Super Bowl, as they say. It's the
yep,
first race of the year. I'll be honest with you. One of my motivations to watch it is now that I've been forced, I'm sorry, asked to move to Atlanta with my lovely wife 26 years ago from Florida. I don't do well in the cold. It's a common fact known. Everybody who up here knows me. I know I'm not in Chicago, but still, it's seasonal depression. And so I live for a couple of things to just to keep me going and remind me that spring is right around the corner. And the Daytona 500 is certainly one of those events that, that and Pebble Beach and those kinds of things say, oh man, I'm going to make it. So it was a great race. Love it. Congratulations to,
Tyler.
Michael Jordan, who owns that team, who won. So good for him. It's great.
Yep. And
All right.
before we go, your lovely wife, I'd like to wish her at the as we're finishing up our show a very happy birthday.
Thank you. That would have been a complete disaster if I wanted to watch any sports this weekend. So thank you, Jim, for bailing me out again. Happy birthday, honey. Chrissy, happy birthday.
And from my heart, absolutely, and also from my heart, I did don this all red alternative St. Louis Cardinals jersey today because today is also my father's birthday. This would have been his 96th birthday today.
Yes. Yep.
And
All
he
right.
loved his Cardinals just like your papa did.
Yes.
Our
It's
whole
ironic
family.
that both our fathers were big Cardinals fans, never living there, not having any real affiliation to the city, but they were
Yep.
both Cardinals fans. I'm sure it was because of, some of the great players back in their day of growing up. It was awesome. So happy birthday, yes, to your dad. Do you want to say your dad's name on the podcast?
Ed.
Happy birthday, Ed, and happy birthday, honey. And yeah, it's kind of ironic that baseball is just one more reunited. That's how you and I met. So it's kind of funny
Yep.
that baseball just continues to kind of pop up as a common thread.
and it's all starting now. All the spring training games have started
Love
here
it.
in Florida. Just
Love it.
one here in Florida. Tigers, Yankees, I believe. Is that what I wrote down? Oh, the Yankees and the Orioles started just 40 minutes ago. But I know one thing for sure before we say goodbye. Our next show, we have a ton of stuff to talk about baseball. New
I hope
players
so.
going to new teams. We've got all kinds of stuff ready for you.
I hope so. We absolutely. Oh, what's this? The Dodgers just purchased Aaron Judge. Oh, good. Okay, great.
They also bought the Seahawks.
I'm
So
kidding. Yeah, they
it's,
could. Yeah, they just bought the entire Japanese major league. Yeah, whatever. All right. Well, hey, listen. Someone's got to have to beat them. That's it. At their own game.
that's right.
So, well, hey, that is it for this episode of the Undrafted Armchair Quarterbacks with Jim and Joe. And thanks for checking us out and hanging with us for some real fan-driven sports talk.
And thank you to Fred for telling us, hey man, I want to know what's going on in college baseball. So we do listen to your comments, bring them in, watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you listen. Everyone, thank you so much for joining and participating with us. You have a good
Yes.
weekend. Go treat Chrissy
Uh,
right tonight.
yep. Go USA. All right.
Go
Let's get it.
USA too.
See you, buddy. Take care, man.
See you, Joe.